Well, I feel doubly honored to have both Mr. Hoover and Jerry Lips introduce me tonight. These are people that I've admired for years for different reasons. Jerry's mother and father in South Dakota worked tirelessly for me for 25 years to keep me in high office, and I hope you won't hold that against Jerry. I've been watching this girl over here tonight, and I must say she makes me feel terribly inadequate. And so do Cliff Roberts and John Travolta. If I had known I was going to have to follow them to the podium tonight, I would have tried to get that Don't Panic award that was mentioned a while ago. My introduction to aviation came at the age of 18. I was a sophomore at a little college in South Dakota, Dakota Wesleyan, and one of the students read a bulletin which said that any college that could get 10 students to sign up for flight training in what was called Civilian Pilot Training, CPT, the government would provide an airplane, an instructor, and an airfield, and it was free. And beyond that, you got college credit for it. So I signed up with 9 other of my fellow classmen, and shortly after we finished that course came the Pearl Harbor attack. And all 10 of us decided we wanted to be pilots. In those days, there was no Air Force. There was only the Army Air Corps and the Navy Air Corps. We borrowed one car from the dean of the college and one from the president and took off for Omaha, which was the regional recruiting location for both the Army and Navy aviation wings. We weren't sure which we should join, but after we arrived in Omaha, one of the guys picked up a rumor that if you went down to the Army Air Corps recruiting office, they would give you a free meal ticket to a downtown Omaha cafeteria. So on the strength of that unsubstantiated rumor, and a meal ticket probably worth about $1, all 10 of us joined the Army Air Corps. It's the cheapest I've ever sold out. But off we go to the Army Air Corps. One of the students who had put together that group of 10 students was a fellow by the name of Norman Ray from Custer, South Dakota. And he was desperate to get into the Air Force. He went in earlier than the rest of us. And I went from one stage to another until finally I got to B-24 training place in Liberal, Kansas. And they brought us out to meet our instructors. As I remember, they had on the bulletin board the name of the instructor, and then there were 4 students below each instructor. I noticed that one of the pilots, one of the instructors, was named Ray. I thought, gosh, I wonder if he is related to the Ray I knew back in college. At that point, out he comes, Norman Ray, my college classmate, and he was my instructor in mastering the B-24. Let me tell you something. Don't ever permit a friend to be your instructor in a situation like that. He was so tough on me, you can't believe it. I remember one day when I got lost, and he said, if you can't find your way back to the field with this bomber, I'm going to wash you out when we get back to the base. I was scared to death. I won't go into all the other mean things he did, but anyway, I found my way back to the base. He told Eleanor, my longtime wife of 63 years, now deceased, that the reason he was so tough on George is that he wanted to keep me alive. And I've been grateful to him ever since. Let me just tell you about a couple of incidents, and then we'll come to a conclusion here tonight. We were bombing the Skoda ammunition works in Czechoslovakia, the biggest ammunitions manufacturing plant on the European mainland. We were hit 3 times on or just before going into the target, lost 2 engines, and another one was running rough. I dropped out of formation after we dropped our bombs on the target and started back to our base in Italy. We couldn't hold altitude. We threw out everything we could find, even the oxygen supply and the guns and the ammunition and everything else we had, we threw out. We were still losing altitude. I asked the navigator if there was a landing strip in friendly territory. He said, I'll call you in a couple of minutes. He phoned back and said there's a little island in the Adriatic called Vis. It's just off the coast of Yugoslavia, but the runway is only 2,200 feet long. You bomber pilots here tonight know that you don't land a bomber on a 2,200-foot runway. But I got to thinking about it, that 2,200 feet is better than bailing out over hostile territory. So I gave the crew the option of bailing out. I said, nobody will be criticized. If you want to jump out, and I'll try to get you back as close as I can. Anyway, they wanted to know what I was going to do, and I told them I was going to land that airplane, or attempt it. So all 10 of us decided to go in. And as luck would have it, we hit that runway right on the end. I don't want to imply that I always did that on landings, but it focuses your mind in a situation like that. We hit that runway right on the end. As you came in on the approach, you could see the carcasses of other bombers that had overshot and had crashed. But the co-pilot and I got on those brakes and just rode them all the way down to the end. We tore all the tires off, but we stopped at the end of the runway. It turns out that was Marshal Tito's command headquarters. That's where his guerrilla headquarters were. And so for the first time, under rather strenuous circumstances, I met the man who was to become president of Yugoslavia after the war. I met a Yugoslavian native here tonight, one of the waiters. Then let me just tell you, anyway, that's what I got the Distinguished Flying Cross. Most people get the Distinguished Flying Cross for flying. I got it for landing. One other incident that I want to tell you that stayed with me. It was near the end of the war, and we bombed an oil refinery outside of Vienna. And as we turned off the target, one of the guys in the back end in the bomb bay said, 9 of our bombs fell, but the 10th one